welcome to the Misty Mountain Premodern Spring Cup, the first event of the year for us for Premodern. So happy to bring it to you again in 2023. And our first match is a hell of a match. We got on the left Caleb Durward, who needs no introduction, one of the top streamers in the game, here to play a deck. We don't know what decks they're playing. Against Will Hirst, who, if you follow Premodern at all, you know this guy's name. He's
done a lot of winning.
Won some monthlies, won some Misty tournaments in the past, 2/3 of them. Yeah, can't wait to see what these two players bring to the table.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go let them that they can start whenever they're ready.
Awesome.
I will be right back.
I actually know what Will's playing. I don't know if I should tell you all though. But I will say that when he plays his first land, just know that I saved you all a little bit.
I have a question. So, do snow-covered lands tap for like additional mana today?
We should have done something like that.
Some errata.
Yeah. We should have had like non-snow covered lands, like like a depletion counter when you tap them.
Yeah. For those not in the area, we had a lot of snow that came this morning, and
we got dumped on.
We delayed the tournament for 2 hours. So, everyone, we got 30 people here, so they made the trek. I mean, some came from Minnesota. I know. Do you know where other far travelers came from?
We got some from Chicago. We have some from Iowa. We have some from Milwaukee.
Okay, so still a good amount of traveling.
Oh yeah, they came out anyway, which I'm pretty impressed with that. Aaron Dick said he left at 5 a.m. last night.
Okay.
This morning.
All right.
It's night for me.
All right, so we got things kicking off, and Will is going to start with.
It's an island.
Is that an island or a snow-covered island?
It is from Ice Age.
Okay.
And plains from Caleb.
That is not what I expected. I was saying,
expected.
I guess Caleb has played different decks in these tournaments, but here.
Did Will go first in the land draft?
I think he did. And
Caleb has.
I think it's a Mishra's factory. I'm guessing. I'm not 100% sure.
That son of a gun. I see a bunch of blue cards. I see a counterspell in Caleb's hand, so he's like some kind of white blue.
I know.
Deck.
He has toyed around with like a Tron version, but I guess maybe is that one of the Tron.
Maybe it's Urza Tower. We don't know.
Yeah.
Jar Satowski, do you know what land that is?
Yeah.
We get a little help. Caleb goes for Seal Cleansing, gets annulled by Will. That's what I think happened anyway. I think that is an annul.
That is an annul. I think it's from Theros. Yeah. Something.
But Will more stifled on the mana.
Yeah.
Caleb's gonna crack in with a Mishra's Factory. We know it's a Mishra's now.
Okay, so.
And cast. Yeah, no blue mana. They're both a little mana starved. This is I like games that start like this when stuff's going wrong. It can be like pretty entertaining and interesting to see how players handle it.
Yeah, it's always interesting. It's pretty easy to do it when your deck is doing what it's designed to do. It's a lot trickier when it's not.
I always say Magic's really easy when everything's going right.
I forgot to start my timer.
Right, Black Vice from Will. It's this blue-white control deck.
So Black Vice is really good against any of the control strategies if they don't have a way to answer. And a lot of times the Stasis lists do have a good amount of permission. And so, because the Stasis deck doesn't run any creatures, so cards like Swords, Plowshares, or Wrath of God just like stick in your hand, and so
for sure.
Black Vice can be a problem.
I don't know about playing it. I think Will maybe shouldn't have played the Claws against the turn before because he's kind of like just signaling to him that he's playing Stasis. Otherwise, Caleb might have thought he was playing.
I thought it was so he didn't have to
Dreadnought. Oh, did he? Okay, that makes more sense. So he had 8 cards.
So I think
that's something we were talking about last night as well. Giving the players the better than out there. Much better. I should have.
They got a plan going on.
Yeah.
I guess I can update this with what's going on for the deck list. I'll get these updated.
Impulse for Caleb, I'm guessing, got into his land. He's gonna take a little vice damage. Nudge for 2. I think that's a Chain of Vapor in Caleb's hand, implying that he is more likely the Parallax Tide style deck.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of hedged. I just said blue-white control.
Yeah.
I didn't see.
No, yeah. We're working. We're putting the clues together as we go here.
Which by the way, I have blue-white winning. It was my $4 pick.
Oh
so,
God.
Yeah.
But I have Stasis winning. That was my pick.
All right, there we go. I do think in general, I think the Stasis deck is advantaged in this matchup.
I use a Will Hirstism here. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I will say part of that is from my experiences when a lot of times the blue-white decks didn't have as many enchantment removals. Like the blue-white control with I do need to update the light total. Sorry about that. Thank you for reminding me.
Keep my task, chat.
Yep. And I was saying the blue-white decks used to not have as many enchantment removal, but like with a bunch of seal cleansings, then maybe that changes like the stasis matchup.
Yeah, I think the other thing is like I think blue-white's kind of I think Stasis is more in the mind of like blue-white players now, where they're gonna like try to move their deck in that direction a little better. Parallax Tide can actually do some good stuff against Stasis too, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, the tricky part is like 4 mana sorcery speed is a liability because there's so much permission out of the Stasis deck, and if it gets countered, you can be in a really tricky spot. But yeah, it does double duty, whether it could clear the way for you to resolve a spell, or you could just exile your lands, and as the tide goes away, then you just get it back on tap.
Judge, we just had a cycle Decree of Justice putting 3 Pegasus into play. I think we need to get somebody out there on the floor and correct this.
I've got soldier tokens. They're right there.
Caleb just has a huge mana advantage here. And now that he knows Stasis is out there, or is a possibility, he's froze the attack set with the Mishra's Factory. Earlier, he was getting in some hits. I think what he was a little more worried about his mana base. Now wisely staying back. Keep the mana up.
Yeah, tricky thing about Decree of Justice is Stasis has a bunch of counters, but cycling the Decree gets around that pretty well. So we see a Chain of Vapor. Is he targeting a token, or is he targeting the seal?
He targeted the seal cleansing.
Okay.
Caleb has a few options here. He could just kill that black vice. He could return the seal to his hand. Yeah. Big thing here is if you're against a Stasis deck, you just don't want to tap lands ever. You just want to, like, even if the Stasis isn't in play, just preparing and, taking it slow. It's going to get him in a great position in case the Stasis does come down. Because that's what will really set up here, right?
Yeah.
Seal in play, obviously giving Caleb full protection if Will does drop Stasis, so that's why the battle's happening.
Yeah, there is a little bit of play for the Stasis deck that, like, with a Chain of Vapor, that you might be able to chain your own Stasis, but the likelihood that they're going to be doing it is at the end of Will's turn, so then Caleb will get an untap, and that's pretty detrimental to the Stasis plan, so sometimes you can play around it as a Stasis player, but it's pretty tricky.
Will be in an awkward position if he drops the Stasis, though, because, like, Caleb can just replay the seal, right?
Mm-hmm. But I have to imagine, Will's got a grip full of cards. I'm guessing that counter magic is in the near future. Caleb with his own chain.
Caleb has his own chain. Good point, chat. Caleb, Cube King of CubeCon.
Yep. So that was something that we featured in the fall last year. Caleb was at CubeCon, which we did coverage for, and Caleb took the whole thing down. So I believe he will be there again for this year's CubeCon, and he's looking to defend his title.
Should be amazing. We're both very involved with that event, and you want another great format to play, you can't go wrong with Cube.
All right, we have the Chain of Vapor, and Will's going to defend with a foil. He's going to discard an Island and an Impulse.
Gush into foil. Classic.
Will only has one island, and he picked up two, but he discarded one. I mean, how long can he keep the Stasis around? I mean, he does have the Closet Kicks to stack it, but I don't even know if this
I
is
think
like
it was
that.
a little awkward on Will's part, fighting over that chain, because now if he doesn't have, this is kind of cool. That's kind of good, right? Well,
When you're untapping, it's just one mana. Like,
right.
Like if you had 8 mana, then it's a lot more.
Yeah,
powerful,
he
but,
can't
like,
exactly.
He can't really take
play the
advantage of the
Stasis here.
situation. And now Caleb gets on tap. He gets to attack with his Pegasus tokens. And
Soldier Pegasus.
yeah.
Soldier Pegasus.
Yeah, the mana advantage is huge in this spot. Like Will having to pick up 2 islands just makes it harder to fight any fight. We do have a Forsaken City.
Oh man, he drew it that turn. He could have just like dropped it
There is a Dust Bowl though on the other side, but I mean,
But he only had 2 mana open.
Sure,
Like
yeah,
if he would have drawn that Forsaken City the turn before, dropped it, he could have played Stasis for 2 mana, and probably get Caleb locked out. Well, the seal's still in play.
Yeah.
So Will's just kind of in a rough
I
spot.
feel like he's treading water, and it's like really tough for him. Like Caleb has so many metrics. He's got the land advantage. He's got pressure, like especially one that like it's not a Mishra's factory. He doesn't have to spend any mana to attack,
Right.
and Caleb's gonna have a decent amount of counter magic, and he's
He
just
just
in the
picked up
driver's
another
seat.
counterspell up the impulse.
Okay. This is a fact or fiction. Some more card draw. Are we at Will's end step or?
We have to. Caleb
Okay.
went to this on his own
I would say like
phase.
there. I've seen some aggressive fact or fictions, but yeah, in this matchup it does not seem to.
Main phase against Stasis is
Yeah.
about as aggressive a factor fiction as you possibly can.
I didn't see Will. I guess he played the Forsaken City on that turn.
Stop the press. Gerard just complimented Will Hirst basic. Never thought we'd see the day. I gave him all of those islands.
I was saying,
I'm just gonna-
those were gifted. So
Yep. I was like, Will, what island do you want? Any island from a standard set.
it's like it's like I would like a Guru Island. No.
I need to move your car.
So yeah, Caleb's in a spot, and Will says like this is just too much, and so they're gonna look to the sideboard to see if Will has anything. Though, I mean, a lot of times I don't know if the matchup gets. I guess cards like Mana Short. I don't know if that's something that Will's playing.
I think Will loves Mana Short. I would not be surprised if it's one of the sideboard. I could go get the deck list, but isn't it more fun to guess
Yeah. I would say like we'll have
for
plenty of
round
time.
one?
I would say we'll have plenty of time to look at the actual deck list of this tournament.
At least one of these two is going to be back out of this feature match
Yeah.
table at least once today.
Yeah.
After this hard yes. We had 30 players today. Like 31? 30.
30.
Little smaller than I would have liked, but with the weather, I can't complain.
Yeah.
You know, and still like you said, a lot of people traveling out here, so great to see.
Yeah, so the next event we have will be in July 1st, and that will be our Midwest Premodern Championship. So
Yep.
we had in the winter of 2022. We're
Yeah.
moving into the summer, make it a little more appealing to travel to Wisconsin in the nice weather.
Should we announce our VIP guest?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
All right.
We've had people asking, so
I have people
think
asking,
people are curious.
and I'm here to reveal that the one and only Clint Espel has told me he's going to be showing up to this
Yep.
event. So
So
you want to come out and play some pre-modern with Flint and the
Maybe-
gang you see here, I think the summer one is going to be the big one. And
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that will like deter
probably-
people. They're like, "Oh, if Flint's going, then I can't win. There's no point in me showing up." So,
that could be too. Yeah, that's true. Oh, why did I say that? Oh man.
no, I think more people would be excited at the thought of seeing Flint or playing
Uh-huh.
against him. But yeah, so we're looking forward to that and all the events that we're doing later this year. It's always fun to do these type of events and kind of put out the broadcast. I always get excited. It just I don't know.
Why Magic?
It's
What's better than that?
it's just always a good time. All right, I didn't pay too much attention to the cards that were like coming in, so I didn't really see if things get better or like which player is improving more. But typically, if Caleb has enough stuff in his sideboard, you're usually getting rid of cards like Wrath of God or Source of Plowshares because Will doesn't have any targets. Or typically,
That was a hard game for Caleb to win too, in my opinion.
yeah, I mean, he is more set up if he is the Tide control version. Like the 4 main deck Seal Cleansings help a ton. Like you get to invest the mana early, like you don't have to hold it like because if you had Disenchant, you can't cast it preemptively, and you have more copies of it. So you're definitely more set up than most of the blue-white. So it might just swing everything in the favor of the blue-white deck.
So you're picking Caleb for this match now?
Well, certainly if he's up a game.
I got Will. Will's
Okay.
doing it.
Well, you
know
picked
it.
Stasis, and I picked blue-white controls. So.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you. Come on, Will.
So we're already up to 79 viewers. I did tweet out saying that Caleb was on stream. So these might be some Caleb fans coming in, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll check out some Premodern Magic." And so, but welcome everyone. We're happy to have you here, and we're excited for continuing this Magic coverage of our delayed Spring Cup, our snowy Spring Cup.
Snow cup.
Yeah.
The snow cone. We're changing to the snow cone.
Right. We got Caleb's kicking off with a Coastal Tower and a Faerie Conclave. So starting things slow with the tap lands, but a lot of action doesn't happen. in the
Hopefully
first
it won't-
turns.
Hopefully it won't snow for the next one.
We have an end of turn impulse, so Caleb looking. I mean, biggest thing usually is you want to hit your land drops in this matchup, and then it kind of is like you're going to fill in the spells that matter. It would be counter magic or ways to answer a stasis. Eventually, you're going to find like a card like Decree of Justice that you could find a spot to cycle. So those are the things I would put priorities on from Caleb's perspective.
He's just going to be looking to just get all the lands he can into play. The big breaking point is whether you can like keep your mana total up enough that when a stasis does come down, you still have plenty of options on cards you can play.
Yeah, I will say, from Will's perspective, a lot of this might come in like playing around a card like Mana Short, where Will might do a little bit something, and then like if he's able to resolve a Mana Short and then untap and then play Stasis, like he might be able to catch Caleb off guard. So I think that's probably kind of in the back of Will's mind and what he's trying to set up.
Yeah, Will is going to want to. I think the Black Vices come into play a lot more afterboard, probably, because like now that everybody knows what's going on, with Caleb's blue-white control deck, he has to come up with a way.
I'm going to interrupt for this fact
Okay.
fiction. So we have a Stifle, a Replenish, 2 Flooded Strands, and then a Null. So Will's going to split these with the lands and the Replenish against Stifle and a Null. And Caleb's going to think for a bit. All right, sorry. He's going to take the Stifle and a Null.
Do you like that pick?
I mean, not taking 2 lands probably just means that Caleb has enough mana in his hand. Also, like I guess if you're taking a bunch of the slower cards, you might have to discard like actual spells if you take the 3 cards and can't play any of them. Or like, I mean, he's probably not getting in a Null fight or Stifle right now. So I think it just means that he's set on lands. Is probably what I would pick that up.
Caleb had 8 cards in hand, so he played a Powder Keg.
I
I think that's a I'm not going to challenge Caleb's.
well, I mean, what? I guess it gets rid of Black Vice. I was gonna say
It gets rid of Black Vice.
it does not get rid of Stasis, which I feel like a lot of times like people will be like, oh, Powder Keg, they think it's a Ratchet Bomb. It does not get enchantments. But yeah, getting rid of Black Vice is pretty key. So.
I would worry a little. I mean, I think this is where Will should probably be striking if he has a Stasis. He's got 2 lands tapped on Caleb's side. Yeah, he's going for it.
Well, here I'll counter that. So the one thing is,
No,
you already have
Caleb's going to counter
yeah,
that.
he's gonna try. He's gonna try with the annul. But like, if there's already a powder keg in play, like, what are you stasising for? The game's gonna, like, you're gonna have to upkeep the stasis. Even if you do find a black vice, the powder keg's in play. So I don't even know if this is a spot where stasis is that
I
powerful.
don't know, you might be able to keep it rolling for the whole game, though.
Well, we got a counterfight. We got the annul is met with an arcane denial, which is met with a counterspell, which is met with a gush.
And he's got a foil here. He is off to the races with a tapped out opponent.
Well, we'll see if this stasis does resolve, if Will's able to kind of punish Caleb. So
Word.
it's always a good feeling when you have a stasis and you're like, oh, these tapped lands, they will go back to my hand. So chat's saying that they think the skill in splitting factor friction piles is overrated, but it's not as hard as what the public perceives. I don't know. There are definitely some times I will sit at a factor friction pile and just stare at it, and I'm like, I don't know what to do here. There are some times where I make like a pretty quick, like a bold split.
Do you feel like you make a lot of mistakes when you split a factor fiction?
Um,
Are you ever like, ah, I should have really...
Sometimes, but
different.
yeah, I think but there's small percentage plays. I don't think I ever like completely blunder a factor fiction, but there a lot of times I do try and make it really quick and try to represent certain things, or like that, like this is the more important card when it's not.
Mhm.
I think sometimes that has bit me a little bit, but in general, I don't know.
I think it's a super important skill tester, and I feel like every time there's been a good factor fiction deck, if I played in a format, it was like night day. Like players who could split them well versus who can't. The ones who can't. The ones who couldn't were just like very easy matchups sometimes. There's a lot of stuff going into a lot of considerations to make, and I think I would say if you think it's really easy to split a factor fiction, it's possible you're not taking everything into account. Sometimes.
Oh, maybe his understanding, his or her understanding of the maybe just. I mean, people do talk about factor fiction. Some people have talked about, like, called it like the hardest card to play against, and maybe that they're just taking that extreme and saying maybe it's not that bad.
Yeah, and at the same time, I will say that there's a lot of people who they probably think it's hard because often when they're splitting the factor fiction, it's a really bad situation for them.
Yeah.
You know, so that plays into it too. When there's no good answer, like it seems harder, right?
Sometimes it's just easier though.
Sometimes.
Well, I mean, like when they're trying to find the one outer, you usually went for it there. So
Bill's just dropping islands.
yeah, but from the situation, this Potter Greg's at 1. I guess he needs a Chain of Vapor and then a Black Vice.
Caleb's been consistently drawing a lot of lands here. He's already on. He's got 5 untapped since that Stasis came down. He's tapped out when the Stasis happened.
I mean, it's interesting. It would be very costly to use a Dust Bowl on a Forsaken City, but having that option is really nice.
I've done it. I think it's pretty big, like right here, because if he doesn't get that Forsaken City, if he kills it, it's just.
Well, it's just a
Puts
nice
him
way.
in a-
Like if Forsaken City's online, then Will's can near indefinitely like upkeep a Stasis.
Yeah. I kind of think he has to do it if the city shows up.
Yeah.
I think he has what it is. He hasn't played it.
Well, I mean, it might be because he's hoping that Caleb might tap the Dust Bowl.
Bill was contemplating a.
He's gonna play the Forsaken City, and this is a spot where you could, before we go to Will's turn. I mean, I would do it now because if you have Chain of Vapor, you would need to use it.
What if Will has Stifle here?
Yeah, that would be really good.
Like, I don't know if they play it, but Stifle would be a badass sideboard card against blue-white control for the
for the
countering seal cleansing,
So that too,
countering
yeah.
dust
In
bowls.
this matchup, it certainly does a lot of work. All right, so Caleb is gonna let him go to his turn.
He's gonna discard a card to exile a card to untap it. The tricky part is like you actually have to kill it before they discard the card.
Ooh, I do want to quick show everyone. Will is sporting something around his neck. Do we want to talk about that real quick?
That's the magic sweater.
Yep. So
Oh yeah. He didn't just win
our last tournament, yeah.
our last tournament. He also won the most coveted raffle prize at that event. The Madison sweater.
Maybe that's the reason it snowed. Is he had his sweater ready. So.
Oh wow. So he didn't have any more islands. So the Forsaken City's like all he's got going.
Yeah, and now that Caleb knows that, I mean, so does that change your evaluation of how aggressive you want to use a Dust Bowl? No, Caleb's still letting him do the. Oh no, this is end of turn.
Yeah, this is not going to turn out well for.
Well, Caleb's got. Oh, okay, so
Caleb's
I guess
this.
so. One thing, Will does not have a lot of cards in hand. Oh no, he does. I lied. All right, it's interesting that that's not where you pick the fight. I might try and fight that, and then you can't upkeep that stasis, and then it just dies rather than.
Yeah. He must not have another stasis because otherwise he could have claused it.
Yeah, Chad's talking about copying that chain of paper. Do you think you would want to bounce that powder keg? So Will would have to sack a land. He's got a mana short. Okay, so this is the mana short that we're talking about.
Caleb gonna counter it. Caleb's got 3 counterspells in this hand. Will should thwart it.
Right.
A stage you get into with the stasis deck, sometimes you have like these thwarts in your hand, and you want to be able to pick up those islands, and like your opponent doesn't play anything. It can really like stymie you for a while.
I think in general, like there's a lot of spots where that is the best action against a stasis deck is not to cast any
Do
spells.
nothing. Yeah.
I think Caleb should be at 17 because I think he tapped 2 Adarkar Wastes to cast a counterspell. Is that correct? I'll go check.
Yeah, I think so. I think he just did that. Well played. Alright. Life totals have been corrected. We'll cast a counterspell last. Yeah.
The mana short is the card, if that's what they're asking.
I think he cast counterspell on the counterspell. I think that's what they're asking. That's a mana short. If you don't know it, it's blue 2. Tap all of your opponent's lands and empty their mana pool.
Will's putting the Plaza Gix to work. Have you? I guess you're not a big Stasis player. I have never played the Closet Gix in my version. I don't know the spots where you really want it. I guess it gets rid of your Stasis so you can untap and then play another one.
Yeah, it's just nice for just if you have multiple stasises, you can just kill it anytime you want without them ruining it.
Getting it untap is sometimes the thing you need.
Yeah.
All right, so we bought off a mana short, and now we're kind of back into this stasis position. Okay. We have a Chain of Vapor. Oh. Chain of Vapor targeted the stasis, and now it also will.
He's mainly doing this though, I feel, to get that powder keg off the table so he can get his mice done. Hopefully, close this game out. A little patient, I guess.
So I can see Will's hand. He's got another Stasis, a Counterspell. Here's the Black Ice. So
It's pretty good here.
a full grip from Caleb. He'll take 3 from the Black Ice. So now there's a clock of play.
Played that keg. It's gonna get annulled. Caleb tapped out. Scooping the game.
All right, so there's a game with the Stasis player. So I guess, I mean the tools. I don't. Did the
You
game,
know Kowal Hirst out.
Yeah.
He's back in it.
Yeah.
We're going to game 3.
The seal cleansings just didn't really show up in that spot. It was just like a powder keg.
Historically, though, like this is like what people like. People like I've always every Stasis player I've talked to is like, oh please just give me control decks all day. This is like the absolute best thing they can play against. No pressure, nothing, just like lock them up. Didn't work out first game like that, and I think there's a lot of weapons on Caleb's side still. We're gonna see, should see a pretty good game 3.
Yep. So we do have.
Nobody going to board.
We do have about 20 minutes
We
left.
have 20 minutes left in the round. These
So I
two
think-
are playing lightning fast.
Yeah. Well, I think part of that concession was respecting the final game, because there are definitely times that either of these decks will take a while to win. Chad is asking who's the bad guy in this matchup. Is Stasis the bad guy? I think in general, Stasis is probably the bad guy.
Stasis is the bad guy.
But
Blue Eye Control has become the good guy. It used to be the bad guy, and then everybody stopped playing it.
can we just call it Blue White Ponza? Does that make? I mean, I guess you already considered it the good guy. That would make it even better, right?
You know, the last time I played Rich Shea, when he was playing Blue White, he called his deck. He's like, I was playing a rock. He's like, I'm just gonna be a Ponza deck, and he like just killed all my mana sources and defeated me.
Yeah, it worked pretty well.
But I thought it was a pretty good matchup. I always think that, you know. I always think that.
Yeah, I would say I remember that.
Especially
I
in
do
the
remember
curve.
looking at your list, and it seemed like your curve was like clunkier than normal, especially when they were moving your lands. So you had a lot more like 5 drops and whatnot. So, but anyways, back here.
I had clunky starts.
We got chat cheering for Stasis. So
I'm cheering for Stasis, but I mean, Blue Eye Control still the idiot.
I think this is a matchup where I think is really interesting. Like Stasis doesn't feel like the bad guy because I feel like kind of they both have similar tools, like the counter magic and whatnot, and it's just different ways of winning. Like one is gonna eventually like make some creatures, and the other one's just gonna kill you by non-tapping. But
One deck has the decency to defeat their opponent with the attack phase, and the other doesn't.
yeah,
So, what more do we have to say?
starting off with Coastal Tower. That's one of the best feelings just out of the blue white deck. Like my mana just
Coastal
got a little bit
Tower.
better.
It's not better feeling than turn 1 Coastal Tower.
I just like looking at that card.
Beautiful. You know what?
Tom Matelski has this as his playmat, so that's a good looking one. Nice and simple, good art.
You know I love a Coastal Tower.
Yep, Jam Forum.
4X.
That was one of the innovations I really liked, just like making the mana base better. Yeah,
Caleb and I have talked about Coastal Tower, and he's like, he was literally, I don't understand why people don't play Coastal Tower.
I
And
play
it's like
3 in my blue
the
list.
only way you like make your mana like. Everybody's playing like these terrible mana bases, just play coming away tap land. They'll put a zillion cantrips in their deck that end up tapping their lands. You know, like if you think about a tap land is a lot like a cantrip. You know, like
Yeah.
you use the cantrip to fix your mana a lot of the time. But
Maybe I wouldn't go that far.
I would. Nowadays, you get to scry when you play one of those,
All right, so
or turn it into a 4/4 fire. Actually, replays that card. I never play cards.
did the decree to get discarded?
He cycled it for 0.
Oh, for 0. Okay.
Yeah, he had three mana.
All right. So that would either be an indication that Caleb is light on mana or heavy on decree justice.
Yeah.
It might be the latter. I think I saw a couple towards the back of his hand.
Yeah, I mean, I feel if I don't have anything better to do, I'm more often than not going to just cycle the decree for 0. I think it's
Well, if you're gonna miss a land drop, I definitely would. And
Absolutely,
especially if you get multiple. Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, we had
Also, Wilbur Steps.
this is a
I've been practicing them.
What did the Chain of Vapor target? Was there a stasis that had result?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
I think he chained the stasis at the end of Will's turn, and now Will's discarding a bunch of cards. Well, Caleb is pretty set up here.
Okay, so
Rolled up.
now he's got a clock. When I say clock, he's got 2 1/1s, 2 Pegasus tokens. 2 good for soldiers.
He's got a nice amount of lands. It looks like he has some good interactive spells in his hand. I think he has a 3rd decree in his hand.
Yeah, I think I did see that. Yep.
Can't help thinking, yep, he is going to add 3 more Pegasus to the board. Not flying Pegasus, soldier Pegasus.
Yeah, so this spot is kind of just like, I mean, Will has 4 turns. I mean, maybe a little bit more with the Closet Gix, but if you're spending those resources, you're gonna die anyways.
Right.
So Caleb basically just has to protect against like stasis.
Yeah. These might as well be flying Pegasuses right now
Yep.
because Will ain't blocking.
I have seen Will sometimes play a card like Propaganda. Certainly not a matchup where you think it would be very good, but that would be an interesting card to resolve the situation.
He's got a Parallax Tide. Caleb might be set up his own combo here.
Well, this is a card. I mean, like, we didn't really talk too much about this card, though it is kind of the keystone of what Caleb's trying to do. This, in a combination with a Seal Cleansing, basically will just exile 5 cards. But in this matchup, I guess we might have briefly touched on it, does have more applications because just being able to untap lands, even if it's a delayed trigger, your lands come back under a stasis could be really powerful.
Well, there's a hitch there.
Is that a null or is that a what card was that? Arcane Denial? I don't know. It got countered. Is that the hitch you were talking about?
No, I screwed up. I was thinking of this card the wrong way. I thought it was involved some kind of phasing, but it doesn't.
So there's a stasis that is met
There's
with
no hitch.
a null, which Will has a thwart and a black vice. Oh, but Caleb has a Chain of Vapor. Oh, Will has a foil.
Foil.
Discards an island and a mana shrine.
Oh my
So
god.
no mana floating, no mana in play, and
Will has kind of spun this one around here.
this is wild.
This is wild. Oof.
So, because there is a Forsaken City, Will can just change a card for a mana to
Right.
upkeep that stasis. So Caleb just needs to hit his land drops and resolve a Seal Cleansing or a Chain of Vapor. That's probably his best route to victory. The problem is like the sequence of his draws have to be pretty good because if it gets to a point where he has too many cards in his hand,
Uh-huh.
then he starts taking damage and it adds up pretty quick.
This is such a tense part of the game when you're stasis, because for both these players, because they both have these like awesome cards, and then they both have a bunch of not great stuff.
Yeah.
It's just both players just trying to like draw
So-
relevant stuff as fast as they can
We're
here.
casting Replenish. This is
Almost
a card that
nothing.
needs to be countered because it's going to get back. Parallax Tide is getting.
Oh
Is
my
there a Seal
god!
Cleansing? But this would get. I guess you could just exile the Forsaken City.
It happened.
And now Will won't have the ability to pay. Yeah, I would get rid of that Forsaken City.
Maybe.
Did we?
Wow.
Is he still waiting? I guess with the untap trigger. Oh, I guess he wouldn't know if. I don't know why Caleb didn't get rid of that Forsaken City.
I was surprised too. Kind of looks like he's just using this as an opportunity to untap 5 lands.
Yeah, but you get to untap those lands and you get rid of the stasis. And you keep your Parallax.
I agree. It seems he does have the black vice to deal with too, though. Maybe. Well, he's 17.
Yeah, but then you get to untap your creatures and attack.
It's true.
I think
I think he maybe should have just
yeah, I think that's
spent the one the one token off of his Parallax
Yeah.
Tide on Kill the Stasis.
Oh, we got
He's realizing it now.
Chad's asking about
Stream.
stream frames. I will look at that in between rounds.
You have some bad weather in the area, so could be
Yeah,
affecting the stream.
yeah, I'll look into that. See if something that we can do. Okay, so we still have a Stasis in play. A Forsaken City is in play.
Caleb just thinks that if he has a big mana advantage with a Stasis in play, he's in a situation he can't lose.
Well, I mean,
I don't know if I agree.
there's a point where you have to fight, right? Like you have to have a card, you have to spend the mana, and you still could lose that war because his counterspells are really good, like foils, warts, counterspells, arcane denials, nulls. There's a lot of counterspells.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out why we do it. That's why.
Right, we got a Mishra's Factory, but yeah,
Will
Will
has
is.
5 cards in his hand. Has he been taking damage from the spice?
I think they might have. I think he's writing it on the paper, and he's not as diligent about updating it on the phone. Okay, so kind of in this draw go point from Stasis, but as Caleb accumulates cards in his hand, then that really puts a pressure on. We're doing a deck count. I don't think we're gonna deck Will, are we?
I feel like
Yeah.
I counted about 30 there.
Oh, that was a good amount of cards. So
Plenty of time still. Getting down to 8 minutes in the round.
yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think of the situation. I mean, I think Caleb just needs to have the resolution of a seal cleansing, and just laughing at chat asking about they want parfait versus pink prison. They just love all the on-screen matches. The longer the matches take, the more you get to enjoy us talking and commenting and
Yeah,
hanging out together.
more of us, more pre-modern. That's what you want, right? Who do you think's advantaged here, chat?
I would say I think Will is advantaged.
I don't know.
Do you disagree?
I don't know. I'm generally not sure.
Okay.
Genuinely, he is starting to hit the vice. So I think Will is a little ahead. I agree.
Yeah, there's a big grip of cards, so you just have to discard a Fact or Fiction to hand size. So at this point,
I mean, if Caleb did make a mistake, there's only one conclusion you could make there. He needs to play more pre-modern.
yeah. And
As we all do.
so yeah, I think Caleb is just looking for a seal cleansing or a chain of vapor. Are there really any other? I guess resolving another Parallax Tide could be good too, but
Why isn't Caleb just playing that keg? Maybe he figures, like, I can wait.
well, he might be like thinking of a card like Thwart, where it's almost detrimental. But I mean, eventually you got to play it, right?
Yeah. I guess
No, it's not. I would say it's not like he can get to the point where he can cycle a decree and have 13 tokens in play. No.
Yeah. I think Caleb might be favored here.
You think he's favored?
Maybe. Like, he has the keg. He has Will locked on only 3 cards in his hand all this time.
Yeah, but
And no mana.
Does
and
it-
I think Caleb will win this game, given enough time.
Caleb doesn't have that many turns though. Isn't he taking 3 every turn from Black Vice?
Yeah, who cares?
What did he take over?
Is he gonna die for the blackface?
Well, I mean, how is he winning the next 3 turns, or what is he doing
All he
to?
has to do is play that keg and blow up the
Well, then why?
vice, right?
What is he waiting for? Like, why hasn't he done that? That keg has been in his hand for how many turns?
He's filling Will with confidence. I think. Let's play him. Look at me root for your guy while you root for my guy.
He's at 6.
All right, here's the keg.
Okay.
So watch what happens.
Is he a counterspell?
Will's got a 2-mana counter for sure.
And the other things that I didn't see what else was in his hand, but oh, okay. So he's kind of overloading on threats. I think in this spot. So Keg has resolved. Seal cleansing.
I think he was just waiting and saying, well, okay, like, you can play with bottle split and play, and I'll just amass advantage, and then like, now that he has a counter in his hand and like the seal and the keg, he just drop the hammer here. And
Oh, Caleb has a brain freeze.
maybe
So
he-
that's what the card count
maybe
was for.
he asked for the card count.
Yeah, he did, and it wasn't because they were gonna go to like actual decking out. It was because he was trying to set up this turn where there's a bunch of spells cast and he's gonna brain freeze. So I think that was his game plan. Okay, so here this is the end of turn chain of vapor.
All right, and now he drops the hammer.
Well, you can fight this too, right? What else does he have? He's just got stifles.
He did look at his confidence here.
Okay, so he's fetching here. It's gonna go to 5. He might use powder keg and stifle that activation, and then just up the storm count. I don't know how many spells have we cast this turn.
Yeah, this is still the same turn.
Yeah, it's powder keg. It was seal cleansing, a counter spell, a chain of vapor. Okay, so here we see a stifle. That's 5. This is at least for 18. This is a lethal brain freeze. We're going back counting spells. So it was powder keg, seal cleansing, then counter spell, chain of vapor, stifle, brain freeze. That's what I'm counting. I'm counting 6.
It was powder keg, seal, counterspell.
I think Will had 30 cards though.
So I
So
thought too.
Will is not that. What cards Caleb had in hand?
well, I mean, at least Caleb did reduce his cards in his hand, so maybe he's under the black vice.
That's true.
But if that brain freeze isn't gonna, I guess the powder keg was gonna get bounced anyways, so it's not that big of an opportunity for him to stifle his own act, his trigger. But no, like,
Maybe if he can stay under this vice, he's
that is pretty tricky. Like,
will tricky.
so many of his cards are so reactive, and I don't think he's. How many lances does he have in his hand? He just drew
There's
one off
another
the
one.
top,
There's
so-
another one. This is,
I
as you might see here.
I don't know how many cards are left in Will's deck, and that is highly relevant of how quick of a clock. Because Caleb goes up to his 4th card, and then he passes the turn.
That's the other thing is Will has to, or Caleb is trying to win this game. Like he probably figured like, oh, I gotta
Gotta go for something.
go for something here.
Yeah, I think he's got 5 cards now.
Yep.
was thinking that maybe like it was like a leap of brain freeze, but yeah, I think what you're saying that makes sense is like this is my best position to win. It's not great.
He's got like 5.
That's still a lot of turns. Well, I mean, they did announce turns, so I think my timer is slightly off. So it's also possible that
It sounded like a draw probably if the time was around.
I don't even know if Caleb's going to be able to live through the extended turns. The extra
He's got
turns.
5 cards. He just played one.
Okay, he did. Okay, well, so pay for Stasis. And where are we at? I don't know for turns. So Caleb's at 2, so he's got 5 cards in hand beforehand. I think Caleb is.
I think he just died to the vice.
I think so.
Or
I think he wasn't able to play any spells.
They might have drawn. That might have been past the 5 turns.
I don't know. Do you want to check?
Yeah.
We're gonna have Lester go check to see the result of the match. I don't know if it was a
Yeah, we
draw
got a
or
spotter in motion here.
a draw or a victory for Caleb, or for Will. One of those two. All right. Well, really interesting.
Yeah,
Back and
and
forth there.
that's what happened.
Yeah, I always it's always fun as a
love
commentator.
it.
You're like you're not sure exactly what
Yeah,
happened.
you told
Laura saying Will won.
Will won. Okay.
All right.
So
You're down there telling the story, and like things happen. Tom gets called. You're like, oh, maybe that player won.
Yep.
But
all
it
right.
looks like Will won. Game to Stasis.
We're gonna go
That's-
quick a break. I'm gonna try and see if we can figure out our stream stutter issues, and we will be back. I mean that was time around, so this might have been the last match. So we will be back shortly. Don't go anywhere for more Premodern Magic.